Can you hear me now? Video capture device. Oh, that's video. Let me get a better one. Hold on. Check test. Is that better? There we go. Okay, sorry about that. I'm I'm using an older layout in OBS and I was kind of scrambling. So, okay, much better. Okay. Sorry, what I was saying was this is part 3 of this Luigi Lucarelli red-headed guy design. And you'll notice that today I'm sculpting in Nomad instead of Blender, or Blender. I can't keep my software straight, instead of ZBrush. Um, because I want to get to his glasses, and inside of Nomad Sculpt you can do transparent lenses and stuff like that. So um, and I want to kind of sculpt his hair a little bit and do some things. So anyway, yeah, let's I want to kind of play around inside of here. And right now I'm just adjusting some of the lighting settings, which is super cool. And Nomad's coming to PC like any day. It's in beta right now. It's working pretty well. So yeah, I'll be able to sculpt with this on my PC. But until then, we are on the iPad. Okay, and let me know if you have any questions about this. And you can see my fingers. This is a touch screen. And so one finger rotates, two fingers kind of zooms in and out, and two fingers pans as well. Okay, so let's get to it. First, I want to adjust some of this this lighting. The shine on his face and his skin is way too bright, making him look like he's made of plastic. So let's fix that first. Okay. Now to do this, I just like to grab an object here, and then we'll go to the paint brush, and then I can come over here and I can adjust some of the settings. Like if I turn on roughness and I turn off opacity, I don't know why opacity was on, and I'm going to turn off the color because I want to keep the color that's there. So that's what's kind of cool about Nomad, is that you can just adjust the roughness. So if I crank that up and down, you'll kind of see a preview of what that roughness is going to look like somewhere in there. And then if I just hit paint all, it keeps all the coloring, but changes the roughness of it, which is great. So then what I can do is I'm just going to select everything. In Nomad, there's this brush called Select All. Okay, let's call this, come on. Come on. 3. Okay, there we go. Part 3. Hey Neil, how's it going? Glad you could make it. Sorry I'm late, you guys. A little bit, I was scrambling. Okay, so yeah, we adjusted the setting on that, and what I was going to do was I was going to grab this select, and what I can do with select is with lasso is I'm supposed to be able to just select everything. There it goes. All right, and then I just hit this green button and it goes. That's because I didn't have auto validate on. So now everything is selected. I can go to this paint and hit paint all. And now everything in my scene, it has that same roughness, but I don't want the eyes to have that same roughness. So I'm going to zoom in here, select these eyeballs, and then go in here. Let's go back to the paintbrush. I'm going to crank roughness way down. Okay. And then I don't know why it's giving me a preview. But then I can push paint all, and then it has this really high reflective surface now. Super cool. Hey, what's up, Conrad? How are you? Well, this is okay. Kind of, but the Luigi challenge ended yesterday. So I'm not really participating in the challenge, but I'm sculpting a Luigi anyway. So what this started out as is one of my students in my mentorship was sculpting a Luigi head, this exact one, and his shapes were kind of all over the place, and so I wanted to show him how I would translate those shapes, and that's how it started. And so I just decided to finish it on stream. It's kind of fun. So yeah, I keep going. How's that? All right, but today I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to move it over to Nomad. So okay, let's see. So let's make this suit. And inside of Nomad, you kind of have to do mask extract. It doesn't really have any topology tools, so you can't really draw the topology on the surface. You just have to mask it and then lift it off, which is usually just fine. Or you can start with a piece of geometry and just slice it up, which is kind of fun to think about. I could do it that way. Let's try it. Let's just do that. Okay, so I'm going to grab this head, and then I'm going to duplicate it. I should probably name all this stuff so I can understand what it all means. Okay, so let's just rename this. Lashes and eyelids and eyebrows. So we got eyeballs. Thanks for your patience on this. I want to call these teeth. I like calling them teeth because it's funny. Hair. And head. There we go. Everything's named. Let's save it. Save, save. Boom. Every time you save, it will update your thumbnail. So sometimes I like to work vertically. Whoops, like this. Most of the time I like to work vertically unless I'm streaming. So, and when you do, let me just do it really quick. You can save the thumbnail, and when you do, it kind of is a better framing of your object there. Hey Signor, how are you? Welcome, welcome. Okay, so keep going with this. Let's grab move. It's up here. And I'm gonna make sure I have symmetry on. There we go. And one tip for Nomad when using the move brush, I suggest having the power at about half or less, because the move brush inside of Nomad is really fast and it'll feel weird and squishy. So if you turn that down, it'll feel much better. Okay, I kind of wish I could use the move brush with several objects, but I just can't. Unless I join them together first. Okay, so what I was going to do with this is I was going to duplicate the head. So clone it. And then I was going to hack it. Let's see here. I'm looking at the suit. I do want thickness, but let me think about this. Yeah, so let's go like, if you click on this, see this like sphere? If you tap on the word front, it will lock it to the front. And then you can click click, you can touch and grab it and push it up. It'll stay locked to that axis. And then what you can do is click and hold it, and it will lock the rotation in place. So this is locked now, which is great because now I can use my trim brush with a line and then just go like this and cut it off. Let me solo this. I think I already cut it. I didn't know auto validate was on that one. Okay, so, and you can also save cameras if you want to. Like if you want to come back to this camera, you just go to camera and hit add view if you want, and it'll just add this view, and you can just snap back to it anytime you want. I'm gonna let go of this. Okay, I need to do that again. Okay, so good thing I saved that view. I'll go back to that view. I think I undid it. I think yeah, I'll have to do it again. Let's see here. Just need to rotate that up. Lock it in place. You can still move and scale, but you just can no longer rotate, is what that lock means. Then I'll just cut it like that. But before I do, I want to go in here and see where it says hole filling. I want to say fill. Okay, because that's going to fill that hole when I do the slice. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So now if I go back to say like the move brush or whatever and unlock the view, looks like it made garbage. Why? What's going on here? Wireframe, where are you? There you are. That's why. Okay, so let's try that again one more time. Before I do that, I'm going to voxel remesh it. So if you go click down here, there's this voxel remesher. It's like Dynamesh and ZBrush. And then you can mess with the resolution. So you can just kind of crank that resolution up somewhere around here, hit remesh, and it'll rebuild that really nice. See how clean that is now? Super clean. Okay, let's try it again. Go to the front. Oops, front. I wonder, it's acting as if it's not centered on the grid, but it is. Okay, yeah, see this blue line right here and this red line right there, that means it's centered. That's strange. But when I hit back, oh, there it goes. Okay, that's good. Okay, so roll it on back, lock it in place. And then let's go back to trim. It's like 5th time's the charm. Okay, and let's hit cut. Come on, cut it. There we go. And then go back to brush, and it should. I wonder if it's because I'm using fill, and the resolution's not great. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to problem solve here to figure out why the heck it's not working the way I want it to work. So let me just look at trim, because usually trim just cuts it like butter and it looks sweet. So I need to figure out, maybe it's the amount of detail is not matching. Let's do 200. Stroke painting? Okay, well, I'm going to try this one and see if it goes any better. Because usually, oh, Boolean, there we go. Boolean is the one you want, not fill. Fill is like an old, it's like fill hole. That's not what I want. I want Boolean. Boolean is like, it creates a temporary object that you can't see in space. Like it's just hidden, and it Booleans it out all in one stroke. That's what we want. So, okay, here we go. Boom. There we go. So it will be 100 times better. There it is. Okay. There we go. Now we can do a voxel remesh again if we want. I don't care about the color. Okay. This is just going to be the suit here, and it's going to wrap around. But what's cool about cutting with the trim brush is that it will create new face groups. So see where I cut has a brand new face group. So what that means is when I go to Z-remesh this cleanly, it's going to use that face group. Okay, so let's go back to trim. I'm going to move this to the right, and then I'm going to turn off snapping. That's 55, 0. Okay, so let's lock this down. And in order to move this, you start by grabbing it with your pencil, which you can move it around. Then you add your finger, and then you can slide it around like this. So grab with your pencil first, and then move it with your finger. Okay, so something like this. And then cut it. Okay, and that's going to make a brand new poly group. Okay, looks nice and clean. And then I think I'm going to just leave it like that. And then I want to find a good angle from the top, like this. And this is going to be the tricky cut. Let's go from the top and then roll it. That way I know I'm exactly centered, and lock it. Okay, and now I can use a trim polygon, which is really it's a really fun and interesting brush. Basically, you can draw this line, and then you can pull it out like this. And this is going to be my cutter. So I can cut this, and if I tap on one of these dots, it'll make it sharp. So I'm only looking at half of this. Like I want to cut down the middle, and then I'll mirror it over. Well, it has symmetry turned on, so the mirror should just work. But I'm looking at this coming down. See where what I'm making right now is the black suit without the collar. Okay. All right. Do you guys have any questions yet, by chance? I'm going to kind of overlap this a little bit, and then I'm going to hit that green. See how it sliced like that? It just sliced right out of there. And what's nice is now I can go to like a different brush that I don't care about. Let's add a camera view just so we can come back here, unlock it, and just check things out. Looks like it went really thin on the back side there, and the material that it used to trim with is really funny. Not sure why. I think it's just because roughness. The last thing I filled with this roughness was the eyeball, and the roughness was cranked all the way down. So I'm going to crank it all the way up and hit paint all. Get rid of that roughness, but I still don't know why. Oh, maybe because it's showing a poly group. I'm not sure. Okay, with the paintbrush on, you can click and hold with your finger, and it will well, it's supposed I need to have color turned on. Okay, I want to eyedrop the color off this suit. See that right there? There's a little dot right above my finger. And as I move, you can see I can eyedrop a color off of this background image. So I want that dark black. Then I can go here and hit paint all. And that's better. Okay, I'm not really too crazy excited about this back of this collar. It's really thin. So I want to look at the wireframe, but I want to take this this color lighter just so I can see what's happening, and then we'll fill it with dark again later. We'll turn on the wireframe, not the grid. We'll see what this looks like. Yeah, it's really garbage. I don't know if I can fix it as it is or just do the cut again. I think I can do the cut again. So let's do this. Let's go back to our camera view. Where's our camera view? not keep it? Okay, so if I go to my trim brush, it should remember the last cut. Yeah, see how it remembered that cut? So what I want to do this time is I want to roll this back to, well, you know what I want to do is I want to fix that color first and then cut it. So it doesn't have such a thin wall back here. So let's move this over like this. Hit move. Grab this move brush, make it bigger. And just kind of work it through like this. And then come over here and pull this down. See how it's exposing that wall as I look at it from the top. So then when I cut it, it shouldn't be as thin. You know what I could do now? Okay, let's try this. My brain is constantly going as as I'm doing all this sculpting. And what I was thinking about is I could get rid of these caps. I could get rid of the top cap and the bottom cap, and then just add some thickness to it. So I can do that with masking. So if I toggle masking, see there's a button up here that says polygroup to mask on tap. So if I click on that and then I tap it with my finger, it automatically masks that piece out. And then what I can do is go to this masking menu, goodness, and reduce the height of this. Oh, that's why I've been having so much issues, is because this sculpt is tiny in my scene. That's why. So I brought this over from ZBrush, imported it in here, and it's just tiny. See, it's like 0.0000, and if I try to make it a little bit bigger, okay. Bear with me, you guys, please. I'm kind of struggling here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is turn off solo, grab everything, and scale everything up. Select brush. Let's select everything with auto validate. Grab the gizmo. Unhook the gizmo, pull it down here somewhere, and then we're going to scale it up bigger. Big part of the gig is to find solutions on the spot. Absolutely. Yep, problem solving. A lot of people are happy when I run into problems, because then they'll be like, oh, that's how you solve that. Like right now, I'm solving the problem of this, my scene is way too small, you know? So, yeah, let's try this out again. Let's grab that piece. Not this one, but the collar. And solo it again. Mask on tap. There we go. And then we'll try this again. Now this is a preview of what this thickness is going to look like. See, now it's working much, much better. But I think before I do that, I want to just Z-remesh it, because it's giving me this really chunky monkey edge. So if you look at this, see, it's very chunky. So let's Z-remesh that. I say Z-remesh, I should say quad remesh. Excuse my verbiage. Okay, half. Okay, that's horrible. Keep face groups. I'm going to try relax on this. We'll try half. Okay, that's better. But still horrible. Half again. I'm hoping sometimes it'll just kind of get itself straightened out and work. But this is just causing some garbage up here. So I found this out yesterday. See, this is hide and show instead of mask, and it's already set to mask on or hide on tap, just like you could do mask on tap. So I hid that, and now I can hide this. And then now you can see it revealed this button that says delete. So I can delete what's hidden. And now I just have this. And this should give me a way better quadrimesher result. So I'm going to hit same. Yeah, same. There we go. Same. Just keep hitting same till it figures itself out. Scale's king, solved a lot of problems with my XGen and Arnold. Yeah, absolutely. Scale matters, kids. Okay, so now that we have this, let's see how it looks on our guy. We got to straighten it out. Okay, so we're going to grab, move brush, and just kind of scooch it around, because scooch is a word, right? Scooch. And then just kind of make it wrap around. And then I'm going to trim this off too. Sometimes when one way is not working, another way works way better. So just experiment, and don't be afraid to give it up as far as like a method. You know, if one method is just not working, just back up that train and do it again. See, you can work low poly inside of Nomad Sculpt. It works for the most part. I do wish this had poly tools in it. Eventually, I've heard that it might. So, fingers crossed that it will. Another option that I could do is just take it over to like Cozy Blanket and do retopologize it and then bring it back. I've done that before too. Okay, so now this is much cleaner. Let's trim this up like we were going to before. So solo top, slide it like this. See, now we don't have to cut that back. We're just cutting these two to make the neck go deeper. Okay, so I just want to trim this off. What's kind of fun too is with trim lasso and auto validate, I can kind of start here, go around and go like this. I don't want it to fill, I don't want it to do anything. I'll just say none. Something like that. There we go. That's what I want. Okay, so again, I can quadri mesh this. Same. Much better. That'll work. That'll do, pig. All right. So let's go move, and we'll make these shoulders pointier. And then we can add some thickness to it by doing a mask extract. Need some water. You guys are so quiet today. What's going on? What's new? What's good? Let's see here. Okay. So how mask extract works inside of Nomad is essentially you go to this select mask. There's regular mask and select mask. Regular mask is you just paint your mask like so. Just paint it. And then select mask is like a lasso or a shape or something like that. And it was set to unmask. There we go. So that's the pen. Select mask is like if you want to, whoops, go lasso like this. You just mask the whole thing, or you can just tap on it and it masks the whole thing. I'm confused by mask extract. I will show you the way. So you mask whatever you want to extract, right? So in this case, it's the whole dang thing, all right? And then there's this mask menu up here on the top, right up there. Okay, whoops. Okay, trying to point to something doesn't really work. Okay, so mask menu right there. And then it'll give you a preview of what it's going to do. Okay, so if I rotate this to the side, you'll see the thickness, but you'll also see that it's kind of smoothing things out and making things weird. Like it's smoothing all of the tips of everything. Well, there's this smoothness slider right here. See, and the higher you go, the smoother it'll get. That'll be like the nicer the smooth result, but you'll lose your shape. So I'm just going to turn this off, and I'm just going to keep it like that. That way it keeps all my corners, my edges, we're good. Okay. And then if you want to adjust the height, that's right here under thickness. I can adjust the height up and down. So I don't want it crazy thick, just something like that. I always have 3D printing in mind, so I tend to go thicker with my clothing. Hey Sene, I recently graduated. Wondered if you can give me some advice to new grads entering the game and film industry. My best advice is to make sure that your portfolio is going to show the company or the freelance company that you can do what they want you to do. That's it. That's basically it. That's how you get a job. And then the second one is networking. So you want to kind of, hey, what's up, Emma? So you want to show them you can do the work, and then you can try and when I say networking, I mean you want to not annoyingly, but strategically try and meet people that work there or have worked there or on the project that you want to work on, something like that. And you can just kind of casually reach out to them. I don't always recommend that, but it just kind of depends. And the best way to network is to actually go to expos, like shows, if you can, like Lightbox or CTN or ZBrush Summit or those kind of different expos. And then that's where you meet the pros, and then you get in good with them. And I want to say the first job is the hardest, because your network is really small, right? Your little bubble is so small that it's kind of hard to get your network growing. But once you get your first job, then you start to know people. You start to become friends with the people that you work with, and those people will move on to like other studios, usually within the area. Like let's pretend you got your first job in Austin, Texas. That's kind of a game hub, right? And then you worked through a title. You helped make a game, and then now you have a title under your belt. And then some of the people move on, and you're like, hey, I know this person. They moved on to this company. I'm gonna reach out to them and see if they know if they're hiring or something like that. And that's kind of how networking works. And so, but the first job's your hardest. Yeah, Emma. I met Emma at the ZBrush Summit. Yeah. So, hey, what's up, Matt? How are you doing? Sorry for being part of the quiet club. Oh, you're totally fine. I just wanted to say hey and just make sure that you guys are alive. And there's a really thin and blurred line between strategically and annoyingly. Yes, there is. No more working for ZBrush channel? Yeah, I do. I stream over on Max on ZBrush's YouTube channel on Thursdays at the same time. So from noon to 2 o'clock Pacific time is when I stream over there. Okay, so when you click on this masking menu, this is just a preview of what you're going to get, right? So if you actually want to do it, there's this whole menu down here, and this edge loop side, this will add more loops down your subdivisions if you want. So see how it added one more loop right there? And you can crank this up and down. I don't know why it's not letting, oh, here's the division right there. See that? So you can add more edge loops going down. And then there's extract, there's split, and there's carve. And what I'm wanting to do right now is extract. That means it's going to take the masked geometry and make new geometry out of it. So it'll leave the other one there. So you can make as many copies of it as you want. Split will actually like split that out of the other geometry, which I could do that, and it gets rid of the original geometry. And then carve is an interesting one. Carve will actually do the thickness down into the object and carve it out, almost like an emboss, and pull that out of the original object. And it works best when you have an object that has thickness. You know, it's like a solid object. So thanks for the advice. We'll definitely try to work on my networking skills. You really helped with my sculpting exams, and I still love watching you at work. Oh, that's awesome. So I want to take just a moment and talk about this because this video is sponsored by me. And so I just have to mention this once in a while. I have three products right now, actually 4, but 3. I have free brushes for ZBrush, so you can go, they're specific to ZBrush and not for Nomad Sculpt yet. But if you use ZBrush and you want to get those are over at 3D Character Workshop. I also have a full course that's called the 3D Character Workshop that I sell. It's a full comprehensive masterclass in sculpting stylized characters, and I've sold it to over 2,500 people. And yeah, so a lot of people, including a lot of people that are watching here today, have purchased that. And then I also have something that I need to talk about a lot more, which is my mentorship. And it's a yearly mentorship. And it's a group coaching mentorship. So we meet every Sunday and we go over your portfolios and your characters and any questions you have, that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, in the mentorship, it's not advertised on my site, but if you're interested in it, just send me an email through the contact page over there on my website. So the link is in the description down below. You just shoot me a contact and say, hey, I want to know more about your mentorship. Now the mentorship is the most expensive thing that I offer. It's a yearly group coaching, so it's not nearly as expensive as a college, but it's a lot more than my course. So that being said, I kind of give you access to my network with networking. So what that means is it's much easier to be introduced to someone by someone else that they already know, I guess. So it's like, hey, so-and-so, how's it going? You know, blah, blah, blah. I'd like you to meet this person. And and then show them your portfolio. I've gotten so many people hired that way. That's another part of the mentorship, you know. So anyway, if you're interested, yeah, just reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Okay, and if you have any, well, I don't want to say if you have any questions about it here. I mean, maybe high level, anything but cost. I don't like to really talk about cost here. But if you have any questions about it other than cost, I can answer them. Okay, extract. You just hit extract, and it gives you this this new image. But you can see how it's kind of, see how you have these artifacts back here. That's because that's the original object. So if we go to our outliner, our scene list, you can see there's head, which I didn't rename it. That's the original, and this new one called head extract. So we can hide the head, and now this is our new piece. Now what I like to do with this, well, I like to keep it low, just like this. And then eventually I will subdivide it, but I'll subdivide it in a super specific way inside of Nomad to get it to look the way I want it to look. But right now that I've done this, I want to use it as a helper to build the collar. Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate this. So this will be, let's name this suit. S-U-I-T. Okay, and then we're gonna duplicate it. Clone, I guess, and we're gonna call this one collar. Collar. Okay, and now I want to hide the original suit, and then we're gonna slice up this collar just kind of like we sliced up the other thing. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it to the side, and we don't have to slice it all at once. You can slice it in little in different increments, I guess. Knickknacks, I like your name. Does Nomad have any kind of project from history type feature? It does not, no. It does have project, so you can project from one object to another, but you can't project a history of that object, if that makes sense. You said that for mentorship, you go through portfolio. Should people have some portfolio before starting that membership? Yes. Or during that year, people build their portfolio, both actually. Now, when I say you should have a portfolio, that doesn't mean a fully fleshed out portfolio before you start. That just means I need to know where your skill is at before you start, because I'm looking for people that aren't brand new, just starting out, because I don't want you to waste your money or your time. I'm looking for kind of intermediate people that want to get to pro level, that want to get, like, you know, find more opportunities in the industry, is what I like to say. So yeah, I just want to see that you kind of know the software, you have a basic grasp, and you know what you're doing at a base level. And with the mentorship, I like to help you with the art side of things, not the technical side of things. You know, I can help with technical, but I want that out of the way so I can help you become a better artist. Okay, so that's a good question, by the way. Thank you. So I'm going to use this trim, and I'm going to go back to this polygon brush. This polygon is so powerful because it's this cutter that I can make any shape that I want. And I just got to figure out what shape I want. So it's going to come down here, and then I want these to be sharp, and it's going to cut up into here like this. I'll make this one sharp and put a not so sharp one right here, so I can kind of curve it around that corner. See this curve, and then it kind of just disappears off of here like so. And I want to make this one a little bit longer than this one, but you can kind of see that what it's going to cut. And what's cool too is if I want the opposite, I can totally use the opposite, right? So you can hit this flip and it will flip it. And now it will cut everything else and keep what you can see inside. Okay, so I'll use that sometimes as well. But now that I like what this looks like, I'm going to hit slice, and it's going to not do a great job. Okay. Let me do, I might have to do a voxel remesh on this. Actually, I'm going to subdivide it up. So where you find subdivisions is underneath this menu under multi-res. And then the trick is you click on sharp border, and then you subdivide it. Subdivide it, and then you let go of that sharp border, and then subdivide again a couple more times, and then it keeps it. Now this, see how it's saying multi-resolution will be lost? I know that, but that's okay. I just want to have it be more dense. Oh, looks like that cut did not, forgot to click on Boolean. Let's try it one more time. So something like this. Let's make sure my closing action is Boolean. Okay. There we go. Look how clean that is. Okay, let's turn off wireframe so you can see it. Look at that. Man. And I love how it keeps that shape too. But yeah, so now let's grab this color. Signor, I agree with you. Would be nice. Okay, let's grab this color and just paint all. Look at that. Okay, the back. See, you can continue to trim it off if you want. And then it just becomes, you're just sculpting it at that point. So you can just go back to trim, use the lasso, auto validate, and you could just do a circle like this too. Just kind of slice it. Slice it. And then you can use flatten to kind of clean it up. Flatten. Oops, not too hard. Let's see what the geometry looks like really quick. Yeah, okay. So I've kind of become to love voxel remesh, which it's kind of like Dynamesh over in ZBrush, but it kind of makes it more like clay in a way. And I really like how it has this checkerboard grid on there, and that's showing you how small the squares are going to be. And then there's also this checkbox that says keep sharp edges, and it'll try its best to keep those sharp edges when you do it. And then you can also build a multi-resolution, because typically you want to stay away from subdividing a Dynamesh mesh, because sometimes there's little itty bitty triangles in there and it will just slow your machine down like crazy, right? So if I do it like this, voxel remesh it, and then I just smooth it, see it kind of made some chunks, but then I'll just go in and smooth it out along this bordered edge, because I like smooth things. Let's turn the wireframe off so we can actually see what it looks like. Whoop. And it just feels like natural clay when you do it this way. What I was going to say is the algorithm of the voxel remesh in Nomad is clean, which means it's all quads, which means you can subdivide it. So you could actually voxel remesh at quite a low resolution and then subdivide it up, which is kind of an alternative to using Z-Remesher, which I say Z-Remesher, gosh dang it. It's been like 16 years of saying Z-Remesher, so forgive me. Quad Remesher. I use a lot of ZBrush vernacular when I use Nomad, because that's what I know. Yeah, this is kind of curling around in a weird way. But see, what I could do with this now, if I wanted to, I could take this shape over to a retopology program like Cozy Blanket and just run retopology on it if I wanted to. Or I could quad remesh this, but I have a feeling it would give me garbage. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's kind of a different way of thinking about things. And then also I could, what is it called? Decimate it. I could decimate this down and then just reduce it. Because at the end of the day, these are for me anymore. They're for 3D printing and not necessarily for a game character. So like the end result I want to be decimated anyway. And just using dynamic topology, it's going to create triangles anyway. So you can keep your meshes really low and flexible and more clay-like if you kind of let go of that low resolution workflow ideology, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, you can kind of see how that worked. And then we have our suit here still. It's hidden. We can show our suit. But let's grab that suit and do the same thing with it, actually. Let's do, we're going to subdivide it down. Just add some multi-resolution. Hit sharp border. What sharp border does is it holds on to the creases for as many times as you have that active. So like if I hit subdivide, it holds on to the creases once. We'll do it again twice, and then I'll let go of those creases, hit subdivide, and then it starts to soften up those edges. Okay, let's make it black like this. And we can grab our move brush. Move things around. You were going to ask me about what the proportion between artistic and technical in your lessons, but you already answered that. You mean like how much of it is technical? Is that what you're asking? Like for example, if I were to compare it to something, the technical aspect is like, let's take an ice sculptor for example. If somebody is sculpting ice, you want to teach them how to use the chisels, right? This is how you use the chisel. This is how these are the different kinds of chisels you use. Here's a chainsaw. This is how you use the chainsaw. And then maybe a couple techniques of how to get certain looks or things or ways of doing things. But that's kind of where the technical ends. From then on, once you know that stuff and know how to use the chisel and how to use those tools, then it's all artistic from then on, right? It's like, how well do you sculpt ice from there? You know? You very often give examples of printing or game characters. Do you also feature film characters? I don't really, because I mean, I know kind of how they're made, but I've never worked in the film industry personally. So I can ask my film industry friends specific questions, but I've never worked in television or film. So I just know that they're made with pretty typically made with all quads, and that they use displacement maps instead of normal maps. But other than that, they're very similar to game characters. The knight character from the workshop could kind of be used in the feature. Kind of. It's just not feature ready, I guess. Okay, let's grab the collar and lift it up. There we go. And there's also some things I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about 3D printing that wouldn't necessarily work for, like, say, film or television as well. Like, with with a film with a film character, you'd probably want to build this out and roll the collar over just like a real clothing would. Um, but in here, I'm like putting a collar on top of the actual clothing that it belongs to, right? And that's not how collars are built in the real world. So you would typically want to build them out how they are actually built in the real world, because you have um like fabric simulation and stuff happening in film. And what I like to look for is no gaps between my cloth bits. See how this collar is laying right on top of the suit, because I don't want any gaps underneath there. And eventually, I'm probably going to merge these two together and then soften out this crease right here. Hey, Jerome, how are you? Speaking as somebody who works in the film industry, how's it going? I'm in Nomad today, so I was just kind of talking about how Nomad feels more like real clay to me than ZBrush does, and I don't. I would love to get your opinion on that someday when you've practiced with Nomad a little bit more. Jerome uses a lot of real clay in his work. He's using digital more and more, but okay, let's see. Da, da, da. Got this big gap back there. See that big gap? I need to fill it, but I'm going to fill it with this shirt. So to make this shirt, what I'm going to do is, and this is an approach that I would use with for 3D printing, and maybe if I'm making something out of bronze or something that needs to be watertight, um, I would build it this way rather than like with film characters and game characters, you typically want things to be thin and like flowy, like cloth, um, or stitched to the next like layer of clothing, so it's easier to rig that kind of stuff. None of it feels like clay to me yet. Yeah, I hear you there. When I say feels like clay, um, what I'm talking about is starting with some volume and then slicing it with tools. That's kind of what I was getting at. That's exactly how I just created this collar. I don't know if you caught that, but I had this collar and then I just kind of sliced it up with the trim tool. Okay, so I'm gonna make the shirt first, and then I'm gonna slice the collar out of that shirt. So let's do add sphere, which is ginormous. See, now you can kind of see how big he is in this scene. I'm gonna validate it. Grab this gizmo and just kind of move this down and back. And then I will just grab the move brush and just start to move this around. What 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 I was gonna say? See, I don't really care about what it's doing up underneath here. I can kind of fill this out, but it's gonna stick through this suit now. Oh, I have silhouette on. Okay, I was just that's what I was gonna tell you. Um, so if you've ever used ZBrush and used the Move Infinite brush, that Move Infinite shoots all the way through to the other side. So you can kind of work on both sides at the same time, um, all the way through, not just symmetrically, but all the way through. Like if you're making a mouth cavity or something and you want to grab that entire front of your face and pull it into the mouth, you can use Move Infinite. Um, so with this, I'm going to undo this actually. The Nomad has an option called silhouette. So you can see I pulled it out onto my user interface now, um, so I can have easy access. And this connected topology is like it's like mask by topology in ZBrush, um, but silhouette is it's kind of like Move Infinite, but not really. It has a slightly different calculation. So it kind of looks at the surface and then follows it along to the other side. And in my opinion, it works a little bit better than than Move Infinite, just because it's not so harsh, I guess. It's hard to explain. Yes, in film, it's lots of simulation and rigging is crazy. Game, although is way different because of performance, and rigging is not that crazy. It can get crazy. You work as a rigger and a lead animator in game. Oh, cool. Okay, so I'm just going to snap this and lock it down. And then I'm going to turn silhouette off just for a second. because I typically use just a bigger brush to grab all the way through and just move this stuff around. And then I can just kind of sink this sphere into the surface. And then pull the back of the collar up and out. To hopefully get that shirt. And there's also an X-ray. And there's, anytime you see a button that has a little caret on top of it, the little tick mark on top, that means that there's other options underneath that button. So you can click and hold it. And you can see that there's options of selected and unselected. So I can actually change the X-ray to show me everything that I don't have selected, which is an amazing option. Love it. So now I can really grab my object and move it to where I want, because I can see through everything else. Or I can have everything solid and just have what I'm moving be transparent, translucent, whatever you want to call it. Pretty cool option. That way I can make sure I am watertight on a lot of these things. Okay, this is starting to get stretch geometry right here. See this? See these triangles that are starting to stretch? So I'm just gonna voxel remesh this at kind of a little bit higher, hit remesh. That's okay. Go. And then I can smooth it out. Okay, let's turn X-ray off to see what we're doing. And then what I can also do is just, I'm going to slice this just like I sliced the collar. I'm just going to slice it off. But what I want to do is give myself enough of a foundation that the slicing is going to work and make sense. So I'm kind of pulling some of this up beyond what I need, and then just kind of eyeballing it and looking at where it will be in the end. Just kind of smoothing that out. I also want to give it thickness, enough thickness that when I slice it, it will have thickness. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I'm going to snap this to the side, lock it down, and then we're just going to try this. So I'm going to grab the trim brush, and I'm going to grab this line and turn auto validate off, and it doesn't have snapping on. Okay. So again, to move this, or to rotate it, to move it, you just click with your pen and move it around. To rotate it, you first click with your pen and then add your finger to it. This is on the iPad, by the way, so something like, come on, it's being all floaty. Stop being floaty. Maybe something like that. It might, yeah, let's see how that goes. Just cut that off. I gotta make sure it's doing Boolean. Yep, okay. We're good. Cut it off. And then quickly move to this. There we go. I don't mind that. And then we can just go back to our move brush and then adjust how far this is sticking out. And then we can pull this throat part down a little bit. Smooth it out. Okay, and then Lippy Pixel. I seem to have to work harder in Nomad pinching edges than in ZBrush for that clean infinity style edges, if that makes sense. Any tips? So yeah, sorry I missed that question. Yeah, there's a couple things you can do. So for the most part, you can use these trim tools because they're fantastic and that will help you get those edges. But then you can go back in and sub or either voxel remesh or quad remesh, or do different things to give yourself the structure that you can then subdivide and then smooth down to get those looks. I wouldn't rely so much on the the pinch brush so as much, but the pinch brush in here is actually really really good. It takes longer to actually make the pinch happen, I guess. You can turn up the intensity, but I don't recommend it. I recommend keeping the intensity of the pinch brush low and then just kind of slowly gather the stuff together. And what your mesh looks like will help a lot. See how this mesh looks like garbage pretty much. Let's solo it. See, it's just total garbage. So if you voxel remesh it and you click on keep sharp edges, let's turn that resolution up a little bit and then hit remesh. See, it just cleans that right up. Let's smooth this out and do it again. Smooth it. Okay, and then you just have to hit voxel and it'll just smooth it out again. And then you can smooth out this mess down here. But what you can do is just kind of run smooth along here, just barely. And if these little chunkies bug you, like I like to work low like that, these low chunkies, because it kind of gives me this rolled edge. But if it bugs you, just turn on smooth shading and it just kind of smooths it. It's like Maya smooth shading. It doesn't smooth it out completely perfectly 100%, but it does a pretty good job. And then if you want a tighter rolled edge, you just use a higher resolution and then it'll be smoother. And yeah. Didn't mean to spam the question, just excited to catch you live. By the way, I started collecting your Infinity characters you made just to stay nice. Thanks. Seems a bit longer, but I'm really enjoying Nomad though. It's fun. That's actually the key word for me is fun. It's a lot of fun to use Nomad, especially on the move, like or just like sitting outside, not tethered to my desk. That's really nice. Okay, so you can see it kind of has this bump right here. There's because it's from when I drug down this throat area. I can just hit flatten and just kind of work that through. This is like a scrape brush. And then you can turn up the intensity on the smooth brush, but what's crazy about it is you can I like to say you can turn it up to 11. You can crank the smooth intensity beyond 100%. So see how it's at 100% right here? Just take your finger and just keep going. See, it goes into the red. It's like 1,000% strength. And then it just like smooths super fast. You got to be careful if you go that high. Go up to like 200. It's kind of like smooth stronger in ZBrush. Okay, but see how I kind of lost this sharp edge along here? It's because I'm trying to get, wait for autosave. I'm trying to get this angle to be a better angle, nice and smooth. And then what I can do is come in here with pinch. Not crease, but pinch. So crease is like a surface offset. It will either offset it and make a valley down into the surface. So I'll show you. Like with crease, you get something like this. It's like the Damien standard brush. If you hit invert, it's going to pull it up like a peak, like this. Right? Or you can turn down the sensitivity. I love the intensity preview. It shows you exactly how much damage it's going to do to the surface. It's super nice. So I know that it's going to look like that. So pinch will gather the geometry together. Reminds me of Princess Bride. We are gathered here today. And then you can just kind of go over it several times, and you can even go back and forth and see how it starts to gather that and make a hard edge. And that's how you can kind of also get rid of those chunkies left over from voxel remeshing, is you can pinch them together. Pull this out a little bit more. And see, and that's how you can get your rolled edges to look even. And the bigger your brush, the more it's going to gather from outside areas, I guess. And you can kind of make your geometry move, because you can think about it like it's pulling your geometry. It's like actually physically moving it in one direction, like whichever direction you're using it in, if that makes sense. It kind of, let me see if I can show you. See how this is, all this geometry is gathered, and then it becomes looser down here. So you can turn your wireframe on and you can watch how much it gathers. But see how slow it is unless you go back and forth. Yeah, I don't know why, I just like that. It kind of helps show you how much it's pinching. Because it gets darker and denser, you know. So, and then you look at it and you're like, oh, that's pretty sweet. Anyway, any questions about that? Okay, what I was going to do is I was going to trim off this bottom edge. This shirt's kind of puffing out now. And then the suit doesn't go far enough down. I just want to bring it down a little bit to cover up that pink underneath it. Okay. And I also wish you could trim like all of these things at the same time. You kind of can, but not really. So I'm going to lock this and I'll show you what I mean. So I can grab this white, grab the trim brush, and I have this, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Dang it. Okay. I want to grab this first and then rotate it around. Sometimes I accidentally grab it with my finger first. And you can get pretty precise with this. And then slice that off. Shook. And then, see, it's still live. If I click on the head, boonk, then I can slice that. And then I could grab the suit and slice that. And so that's kind of how you can continue to slice all the things, is just kind of move through them. And now all three objects are sliced. So if we look at it, it's ugly down here, but it's all sliced even. That's kind of what I want. And eventually what I'll do underneath here is just kind of fill in all those slots and make it watertight, so it is an actual bust. Got to go, but thanks for covering clothing making. It's been a struggle for me. Absolutely. Thanks for hanging out. Okay, so let's go ahead and make the internal or inner white color. And for this one, I think I'm going to use mask extract. I could just duplicate this and slice it, I guess. I keep forgetting that that's an option, and I keep like wanting to just mask extract it, and that's not the best method. So I kind of changed my mind mid-sentence there. Okay, let's do duplicate this, clone, and then I'm going to hide a bunch of this stuff. Let's see, I want to keep this just so I can kind of see where that cut is going to happen. Okay, and then if I grab this trim brush again, I don't want to use this line because it'll just do what it's looking like right now and just slice the whole thing. So I'm going to use a polygon again. And then make all these points sharp. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. This, like this. And then bring this kind of to the middle. We'll just slice it down like that. And then just go slice. And then that should do it. And to hide all this stuff or show all this stuff, you can just grab your finger and just drag down the list of visuals and it'll just hide everything or show everything. Okay, so now, what the heck is this? Okay, I'm going to delete that. I'm done with it. Get out. Okay. Here's my collar. It's kind of hidden in there. So let's take the move brush and just kind of drag this down to reveal the collar underneath. I grab this material. Let's see, paintbrush. Grab this and fill it. There we go. So it doesn't have that black whatever it was being filled with. I want to drag this down to reveal the collar, but I don't want to reveal the neck or the chest, I guess, at this point. And then grab this and just kind of pull it up and out. And the tie is going to be kind of shoved up underneath here. So I got to make sure there's enough room that it looks like the tie goes underneath there. So I might have to take this crease brush and run it along this edge so that edge can roll over and meet his neck. So let's do X-ray. Yeah, look at that cut. That's pretty fun. And you can also change the opacity and the color of your X-ray. See how it's like white on white and it's hard to see? Well, I could go to like a red and then make it more dense, I believe. Let's see, let's make it brighter. Yeah, you can also pick the material. This is like the X-ray matte cap material. You can try different things to see if it helps you at all, makes you see it better. But I think this one's the way to go. Okay. That one's pretty cool. It looks like an X-ray. I can also change the color of my shirt temporarily, but I'm trying to see where that neck goes into the shirt right here. So I can just roll it down. So it gives that illusion of cloth being rolled into the neck. Okay, again, after your cuts, it's always a good idea to voxel remesh. See, it's all garbage. So Let's crank up that resolution and remesh it. And then use our smooth brush, bigger brush, smooth it down a little bit. Want to smooth this edge. And now hopefully our crease brush will have a much better time of it on the surface. Yeah, something like that. And now if we turn off X-ray. Okay, so now what I want to do, that I have that kind of trough, that valley. I can move this up. How big or tall is the print going to be? Well, that's kind of the beauty of it, to be honest, is any size you want. There is a consideration to be taken, though, in the size, because the smaller you go, the larger your details need to be, so you can actually see them. They need to be exaggerated, like your valleys need to be deeper and your peaks need to be taller. So typically a bust like this, though, would be, I want to say 6 to 8 centimeters tall. Maybe? Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm smoothing this out way too fast. Yeah. Sometimes I forget that I've cranked it. Yeah, I'm starting to smooth out that cut that I made. But that's okay, because I can cut it again. You just kind of go back and forth. You could pinch it as well. But like remeshing it, like voxel remeshing it, it will it'll make it so it smooths out faster. You got to kind of be careful unless you go really dense with your voxel remesh. Okay, that's looking all right. Let's get that tie in there. So when I want to have an object right in the middle of my scene, I will typically pick add. So add and then sphere like this. Hit validate. The sphere is gigantic. Use my gizmo to shrink it on down. Did you ever finish the reference skull you were making? I couldn't find any other videos, and it was a really interesting educational scope. I need to finish that still. Okay, this kind of distracted me, so I'll try and remember to get back to that skull after I'm done with this guy. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, I can go to paint and click and hold on this guy, and then do a paint all. That's much shinier than I want. There we go. And then with the gizmo, we can do a little rotation and scale it on down. And then we can grab our move brush and just start to squish it into shape. And then pull it so it's kind of tucked up underneath the collar we just made. Something like that. Make a note and remind Shadow. Thanks. Hey, Creative Ape, how are you? It's been a while. Good to see you. I really like having the brush size at my fingertip, like literally at my fingertips, because I'm working with both of my hands and I'm navigating with my left hand and choosing my brush size with my left hand while sculpting with my right hand. And you can, if you're left-handed, you can swap the interface so it's on the other side. So you can get used to using it that way. But yeah, I really, really, really like being able to just adjust that. On the fly. It's the same with Procreate. That's kind of where the developer of Nomad got the idea for having the brush intensity and size over there, because it's exactly the same as say Procreate. Okay, a little white something or other. Let's kill that. There we go. Okay, same with the tie. Second verse, same as the first. Yeah, it's been a minute. Yep. Yeah, I had some health issues, so I had to kind of take a break and figure stuff out. And okay, let me voxel remesh this together. Oop. But it's good to be back. It's good to be sculpting again a lot. I'm sculpting a lot these days, so that feels super good. Too fast. Let's see. That's not what I want. What's going on? Wrong brush. It would help to have the right brush. There we go. Grab the paintbrush and fill this again. That way it doesn't look so nasty. Can you get Stefan to add sculpting effect back? Sound effects. Yep. I'm like, it totally helps when you make sound effects. Okay. Again, if I want to have an object right in the center of my scene, go here, add sphere, validate. I could have just duplicated, which I probably should have done, duplicated the one that was there. There we go. Squish this, rotate it. Grab this color. Fill it with that color. I don't know why I'm such a color snob. I feel in my opinion, color has weight. So I want to see the color as soon as I can. I don't know if any of you guys agree with that. Jerome, do you agree with that? You usually work in one color of clay typically anyway, so. But now that you've done a bunch of digital sculpting, has that kind of helped you out? Just curious. Do you add color right away, or do you still find that you tend to keep it all one color until you're satisfied with the sculpt itself first? Because I know so many sculptors that are like that. Like my buddy Brad Bollender, he likes to keep his, and Chris Wright too. They both like to keep their sculpts color free, just one single color the whole time, and in a material that allows them to see the surface as best as possible. Whereas I like that too, but I'll typically go back and forth between color and a material like that. But I guess I'm just kind of I'm like that little kid that can't wait to open his presents at Christmas, so he opens them early. That's me. Okay, so project. Notice I'm not using trim, I'm using project. And project it's like the clip curve brush in ZBrush. So it basically doesn't get rid of geometry, it just smashes it down. So I'm just kind of, click on this sphere and just kind of roll it on down to about there, and then use project. Let's do a curve maybe. That's not going to work. Let's do polygon. Path? No. Yeah, we can do a path, I guess, but I want to redraw it. Okay, see this little arrow right here? That's indicating which side it's going to smash to. But I just love the control. I can get exactly where I want it to be and hit go. Oh, come on, hit go. There we go. And then it just goes, smashes it on down. Yep. Okay. Now I just want to work on this face just a little bit. Bringing it into Nomad, sometimes it will reveal some surface undulations that I didn't quite see in ZBrush. Like there's like this weird peak right through here. I'm not a fan of. Sometimes it sells the project when monochromatic work won't seal the deal. That's an interesting thought as well. That's how I feel about poses. It's like I want to pose my character as soon as possible so I can get it greenlit. Because a T-posed character, like the suits, the people in the suits, they can't get past seeing it for what it is. So I feel like as soon as I pose it and add personality and life to it, all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, there it is. I can see that. I'm going to build this nose up a little bit. And then pinch. Sorry, Jerome, I think there's like a 20-second delay from the time you answer to the time I answer. It's like you're on the moon. I think the moon is actually better. I think it's a, yeah, I can't remember how many, what the delay is on the moon. Just using the regular brush and subtracting it to dig out his nostrils. That's feeling a little better. I'm going to try flatten. Sometimes flatten will introduce edges where I don't want them. But I did work with Stefomi, the developer, to make this flatten brush more editable, more usable, more subtle. And that's the thing with Nomad. I'm like, I kind of want to create some of my own custom brushes like I did with ZBrush, but I just feel like I don't need them. It has everything I want except for a carve brush. That's the only thing. But the thing is, you can change the profile of any brush that you want. So I have this base brush right here, right? If you want to add an alpha, you can. It's bottom left down here. So you can add any of these alphas. I think they ship with it. I even imported some more alphas. Different gradients, different brush types. So you can do alphas there, but you can also change the brush profile. And you can go to this brush and go to fall off, and you'll see this shape right here. You can click on that shape, and there's all these different profiles in here. So if you want to change the standard brush to more of like a groove like this, you can just pick that. And it's kind of showing you what it's going to look like over here. And you can also turn up the intensity. You know, what if I had the intensity all the way up? It would look something like this. Or what about this one? Or this one? You know, it's like more of a dish looking thing. So you can make your own tools just by choosing different profiles. It's super cool. Okay. What time we got? 2:44. All right. So I wanted to get to those glasses today. I'm running out of time, but let me show you really quickly how I would make those rims of those glasses, and I think that'll help a lot. Let me save it. Save it. I think that'll really start to make him look like the guy. Yeah, the dev is pretty big brained, that guy. Okay, so I'm going to lock this down. And then, let's see, what do I want to do? I'm going to do an insert, and I'm going to choose a cylinder. And then I'm going to insert this cylinder right on his forehead. Just so I can, oh, you know what? I can just create it with a cylinder. I'll show you here in a second. So before I validate it, I'm going to kind of get it into position. Let's see here. Move it on down. And then, okay, so when you're creating a new shape, it's like, it reminds me of that moon with the rocket in its eye. Anyway, there's this menu that comes with the shape maker, okay? And then below that, you can see I can go to edit, or I can go to gizmo. And gizmo just kind of helps you move it around. But if you go to edit, sorry, you can move these little dots around. So I can grab this outer green dot and squish it way in like this. I'm going to turn off smooth shading for a minute so we can actually see everything that's happening. You can look at the wireframe and see how dense it is. But you'll see up in here, you can open the hole. So you click on hole, and it'll shoot a hole right through there. And it also introduces a new dot. So you can grab this dot and move it up and down, and that will adjust the thickness of that interior circumference. So I want these to be a little bit smaller. So something like this. And I'm actually pretty happy with what I have right there. And then there's also mirror. I can just hit mirror. Now it's mirrored. And then when I'm all done and I like it, I can just hit validate. And now I have it. Creative Ape, I do. Thank you for asking. Let me save this and I'll show it to you. Save. So if I do open, these are a bunch of characters that I made. There's the skull you were asking about, or somebody was asking about. Here's my ruler right here. But I did edit it and make it so it's an set up for how Nomad's units work. Okay, so if I turn on grid, you can see the grid is exactly lined up with the grid on the ruler and on the centimeters of the ruler. So if I zoom in here, hit front, you can see it's lined up exactly. So these squares are essentially centimeters, and the little ticks are millimeters. And on this grid, you can make adjustments if you want to. You can change the color of it and things like that. And there's also some settings if you want to go in there and change it. But yeah, it works quite well. So I use this for my 3D printing and everything all the time. All right, and I love how you can choose the gradient background. You just do that in this little picture window. If you choose picture, and then you choose gradient, you can choose single color like this, or you could choose gradient like this, and then you can just pick whichever color you want to fade to, and you can adjust like how much it fades from one to the other, that kind of stuff. It's pretty sweet. And then you can add your reference image right here. So you you just click on the image, and then you just click on the reference that you want to do, like the guy I was just using, this guy. And then after you add it, just hit transform right here, and then you can move him around with your fingers like this, or over here, wherever you want. You can only have one picture at a time, but when you're done, you just tap on it, and now he's locked in, and now you can continue sculpting. Pretty awesome. Okay. Let's go back here. Looks like Elton John for a minute. Okay, I think I want to squish these up a little bit, make them a little taller than they are. Move them out forward. So they're kind of on his nose. I think his forehead might be a little too far forward. Forward head. Okay. Let's move these eyebrows a little bit back. His forward head a little bit back. Okay, let's color these glasses, these rims. And then before we go, I'll show you how to make a lens. I just want to take it a little darker than this. Yeah, like that. That works. And then we can add some shininess, because I want to subdivide this, just so they're more rounded, not so square. That way, when I do a material, I can up the shininess of it. Yeah. And it looks like it's man-made instead of soft. And then I can go through and, put the little extra bits in there, the wires. Okay, but let's do a cylinder. So insert cylinder. And we'll just kind of put it here. If I was smart, I would have made the cylinder, this lens first, and then the rims after. I'm not smart. I'm not a smart man, Jenny. Okay. Yeah, the developer in Nomad, smart. Me, not so much. I get by. Kind of doing my best to line that up, and I do kind of want to make it concave or convex or whatever the heck you call it, like a magnifying glass. I also want to show you how the mirror repeater works. So I do have an option to hit mirror right here, which would mirror it, but I know that I already have one that's part of the rims. So you can see this non-validated cylinder down here, and the validated cylinder that's a child of the mirror. I can click with my finger and drag it up and put it underneath the mirror modifier. Mirror repeater is what they call it in here. And then you can mirror it right across there. Okay, I am going to validate this now. Okay, so I have these lenses. What I can do is I'm going to grab an inflate brush, because I want them to kind of have a dome to them on the front. And then get this big, let's see what our wireframe looks like. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, looks like one of those old x-ray glasses. Okay. And then I can click on this this is a button that I added to my user interface. It's really cool to be able to customize and add some of this stuff down here. But basically what that does is it will make it so I only affect the front of the surface. So not X-ray, solo. I just want to look at this solo, and then I want to make my intensity really low and my brush size very large. So I can softly kind of build that up into a dome. Okay. So from the side, see the back is still flat and the front is like a dome-ish. Dome-ish. Okay, but how do we make it clear? That's the next question, right? Looks like I inflated it right out of the rims. All right. Let's shove it back in the rims here. Zoop. And we can probably scale it down just a little bit. All right, that's good enough. So how you do this is you go under the material menu, which is this little guy right there. And then there's a couple in here. There's opaque, which is the default. There's subsurface scattering, blending, additive, refraction, dithering, and shadow catcher. Shadow catcher is just you can put a plane on the floor and hit and assign a shadow catcher to it, and it will just catch the shadows. That way you don't have to have one of those big infinity backgrounds to make a nice shadow on the ground. Okay, so I'm going to hit refraction. Looks like he's looking through Coke bottle bottom glasses. And then I want to hit paint glossy, and it's going to clear them right up like this. And then you'll see this index of refraction. And what that does, this is screen space refraction, okay? That means it's not a true ray traced refraction. It's coming from whatever the camera sees. That's what it's going to do with the refraction, okay? But you can see it's kind of dragging in just because of the way it's shaped. Here, let's go back to smooth shading here. Because of the way it's shaped, it's kind of pulling in the black rim a little bit into the glass and making that refract as well. So I can turn up and down how much it reflects. So I can crank this, but I just kind of want to mess with the in the fraction amount. And typically I only want a little bit, not much. It's just to kind of give you that little more realism. Hey, Mr. Stone, how's it going? Yep, has been a while. Thanks for stopping by. So you can also adjust the surface glossiness and roughness and the interior glossiness and roughness. So the interior is like the inside of the object, and the exterior is the surface of it. What's facing outside. So you can adjust both of those things. Anyway, that's how you do glass in Nomad, which is awesome. See that? Woohoo! So much fun. And then if you want to change what's getting reflected, or you want to change the lighting in this world, you can hit save. And then you can go to this little sunshine. And then you click on this environment, and you can pick any of these pictures or import your own. There's this one called Art Studio. I think, where is it? Oh, it's this one that I was on. No, I was on this one. So this Art Studio one's really cool. See that? Anyway, yeah, Drumit's a really, really nice presentation tool, to mess with the glass. And then like say I want to do subsurface scattering on his skin to make his skin look more like skin and not like plastic. So I can go to this mesh and turn on subsurface, and it doesn't really look like it's doing anything now, but if I add a light, you can just do that right here, add a light. And then I'm going to put it back here, aim it at the back of his head. Okay, come on. Aim it at the back of his head like this. And then I like to crank the intensity. And then look at it from the angle that I want. So it's kind of a rim light. You can also adjust it from here. Just kind of move it. See how it's bringing in that rim light from the back there? Come on. And you can also adjust the angle so it comes in a little bit more. Okay. And then what you can do only with directional lights. This is a directional light. You can change it to an environment, a spotlight, or a point light. But with a directional light, which is like the sun, you can go into these 3 dots and you can attach it to your camera. So see where it says attachment fixed or camera. So if I click on camera, what that means now is once I have this set up, now when I rotate my guy, see the little light crawling around the outside. And since it's screen space, shadows and highlights and stuff like that, it kind of, you have to let go of your finger for it to quickly render, and then it'll look nice. So while you're rotating, it's going to be a little fuzzy, but when you let go, it'll look nice. So that's another fun thing to do. But see through this ear, you're starting to see that subsurface scattering. So I can click on this head now, go back to the material, and then I can adjust the depth of it and make his ear even more pink or whatever, more waxy. I can turn the translucency up and down, and then the reflectance of it, if I want it to be shinier or not. I usually don't want it too shiny unless I want them sweaty, you know. So yeah, so that looks a little bit more like skin, right? Kind of fun. And another step you could take to make it even look more like skin is to fill it with like a triplanar texture, and that just will knock the shininess off the surface, and just like you can fill it with like pores or even just like noise. You just fill it with, and it will just kind of knock that back, which helps a lot. It's pretty cool. All right, you guys. I think I'm going to wrap this one up here. So thank you all for watching today. I really appreciate it. And once again, I do give away my free brushes for ZBrush over on my website, 3dcharacterworkshop.com. And thanks Creative Ape. I'll try and include the ruler for Nomad in there too. But I also teach a full course. It is mainly taught in ZBrush, but you can use a lot of the same techniques inside of Nomad. And then I also have a mentorship, and that mentorship is like a group coaching for a year. And that's how it works. So again, if you're interested in any of those, go check out 3dcharacterworkshop.com. Specifically, if you're interested in the mentorship, hit that contact and send me a note and say, hey, I'm interested in the mentorship. I want to find out more about it. And yeah, be happy to talk to you. All right, everybody, thank you and take care. Have a wonderful week. If you guys are in the US, have a wonderful 4th of July. It's coming up soon. And we'll see you all. I'm streaming again this Thursday on Maxon's channel, Maxon ZBrush or ZBrush Maxon, whatever it's called, at the same time. So noon Pacific, I'll be going live over there. So we'll see you there, or we'll see you again next Tuesday on this channel. So thanks again. Have a good one, and we'll see you.